you've been speaking to people on the ground. What is the situation?
Yeah, hi Laura. Really good to be talking to you, and thanks for the work you've already been doing on this story. We've already seen some of those scenes just before of just how desperate the situation is in Kabul. Over the weekend, something like 5,000 US and British troops arrived back into Kabul, mainly to defend the airport against any possible violence. As far as what's happening in the city, there's real desperation there now. I've been speaking to a number of Afghans who are in the city, literally in hiding. These are people I've been talking to in some cases for months who've already been receiving death threats, through their desperate journeys to make it to Kabul. So it really is a very, very desperate situation. The Taliban is now in full control of Kabul, as they are right across the rest of the country. So these people I'm speaking to are literally desperate to get out on an hour-by-hour basis.
Yeah, I spoke to a man that we'll call Bibi. He worked with the Australian Defence Force back in 2012 and 2013. He's a father of 5 children, and by some miracle, you might say, he is safe for now. But he says where he is, the Taliban is going door to door. He's surviving on 2 watermelons. And, I asked him overnight, Stuart, is this at odds with what the Taliban has said? The Taliban has said no retribution, and it doesn't seem that way. We might just have a quick listen to what Bibi had to say to me.
We cannot believe the Taliban that they are saying we will not revenge, but I'm pretty sure they will revenge, and they all kill all those who were working with the Australian government or the American government or with other foreign troops. I'm pretty sure they will not fulfill their promises. We cannot believe on the Taliban's empty promises, because they are trying to find us and kill us in any possible way. I'm 110% sure.
Now, I'm due to speak to Bibi in about 50 minutes from now, but sadly he wasn't sure that he would survive the night, and he wanted to get this message out. So we did a phone interview. Whether the Taliban do stick to their word is a whole nother situation, Stuart. This Australian rescue mission is on the way. We didn't get a number from Peter Dutton. He didn't say how many people that he would be able to rescue, but do you have any idea?
Look, Laura, I've heard figures from people in government of about 500, but that figure of 500 we saw from a defence media release just overnight. They're referring specifically to Australian nationals mainly, who need to be evacuated, clearly, and some figure of local Afghan nationals who have been employed by the Australian government previously. But these are people who already have visas. Now, there's another very large group of people that we've been advocating for who've been fighting through this dysfunctional visa application process for some time. The harsh reality now is that those who are in the provinces outside Kabul, they've just been abandoned to their fate. But having said that, we've got a list of about 800 former Afghan employees of either the Australian Defence Force or other government departments. These are all well-documented cases who've been fighting through this horribly bureaucratic visa process. One of my colleagues, Glenn Colmitz, who he's provided that list to people in government. So we're now literally pleading, for the government to listen to sort of common sense, listen to that information that we've given them to, and make their absolute best possible effort to get as many of these people out on these evacuation flights as well.
Stuart, I know that you understand what a difficult situation it is, even for some of these Afghans that did work for Australia and with Australians back as early as 2012, 2013. Peter Dutton has said this morning that he's not going to put the Australian public at risk. And in these intervening years, some of these people have gone back into the embrace of the Taliban. Is that what you understand? Is that a risk?
Look, we do definitely need to be careful about any legitimate security risks. There's no question about that. I'm not disputing that at all. But I know these cases very, very well, right down to individual cases. And what we've been proposing in a written plan that we sent to the government back in May was not an open slather approach. We're talking about documented cases with their IDs, with their paperwork, with in many cases letters of recommendation from senior Australian Defence Force officers. And we've been proposing not that they be flown directly back to Australia, but they be flown to a third country where they can go through proper security vetting and complete their visa applications in a safe place where we're not seeing them hunted down on a daily basis by the Taliban. But our calls have been falling on deaf ears. So it's just been such a frustrating process. And now we're seeing, look, I'm literally on camera again now, pleading publicly through the media for the government to do the right thing. It's not a big ask. I know the situation is desperate now because we're in this 11th hour, but I'm just pleading with the government to get these people to a safe third country where we can do the right thing by them and give them the best possible chance of survival.
Stuart, just before I let you go and quickly, we now have a situation, you've seen the area in Kabul, the Taliban now taking over checkpoints, they're on the streets, they're armed, they're going door to door. Isn't the reality that if these people aren't already in the green zone at Kabul airport, they have little chance of either getting to Kabul, or if they are in Kabul, they have little chance of being able to get to the airport?
You're exactly right, Laura. I mean, we've already seen the evacuations from the embassies in the green zone are finished. That was finished over the weekend. We saw the scenes of helicopters, taking those people to the airport. The only troop presence in Kabul now is at the airport. And the people that I'm talking about are stuck in the city. And, it's a desperately urgent situation. These evacuations will unfold within days at best. That's how dire the situation is now.
Yep, and the airport needs to be cleared for this Australian mission to even get in. Stuart, we really appreciate your time. We'll speak soon.
Thank you so much, Laura.